I just want to show a close-up of my finished baby blanket. I love how this one turned out. It's incredibly soft. I don't recommend this one for a beginner as the first project, only because the yarn is a combination of 4 difficult yarns to work with. But once you've practiced it, and I would recommend practicing with my crochet toddler scarf video tutorial, because I show how to make the braid, just one braid. And then once you've done that and mastered that, then you could go on to something like this. And I'm very happy with the results. Mine has 4 cables. Here's 1, 2, 4 braided cables, 3, and 4. I think it has a really rustic, ruffly look, which I like. And I'm going to show you the other side. This is the border, soft border. So it's the same as one of the yarns, the thicker yarns in the blanket, but a different color. This is what the other side of the blanket looks like. So you can see the back ridges. It looks good. Now I'm just going to show you with my baby doll that fits the size of 3 to 6 months, a 3 to 6 month old sized baby. Fold down one of the corners of the blanket. This is the blanket with the baby doll on it to kind of show you the size that it would be with a real baby. And again, this is the same size as approximately 3 to 6 month old baby. The hat is the matching crochet braided cable baby or toddler hat. There's a separate video tutorial for the beautiful sweater, as well as the beautiful dress and the adorable shoes. These shoes are the crochet braided cable baby shoes. This is one side of the blanket folded over, the tail of the blanket folded up, and the other side of the blanket folded over. So very warm, soft, and cuddly for the baby. The measurement for the inside portion of the blanket is 33 inches. And adding the border, it's approximately 35.5 inches. From the top of the blanket on the inside portion of the blanket, it's approximately 34 inches. And from the border of the blanket to the border of the bottom of the blanket, it's approximately 36.5 inches. Then you can just pick your favorite ribbon. I have a separate video tutorial that shows how I made this to help keep track of my ribbons. If you have limited space, which I do, this helps me to see what ribbons that I have. I chose a thicker glittery white ribbon to go with this one. Since this is a fairly large fluffy crochet blanket, baby blanket, I put it into a large gift bag and then just chose a blue glittery ribbon for to close the bag. For this crochet project, I used my 9mm crochet hook for the whole blanket. And then also you'll need a pair of scissors and your tapestry needle with the wider eye. So this is what I have left of the fourth skein. I don't think it's enough to go back across. I've already reached the corner. So now I'm going to join with my new yarn. For the border, I'm using Bernat Baby Blanket. Here's some information on this yarn. And the color is vanilla. So I didn't cut the yarn yet. I just finished my last double crochet in the last stitch. So now I'm going to join with my new yarn color. Make sure you leave a long enough loose yarn end so you can bury it. I leave a pretty good sized loose yarn end. And then just chain one. And then just tie a knot. I'm going to go ahead and cut my previous yarn, and again I'm leaving a long loose yarn end with this type of yarn so I have plenty of room to bury it. Then I'm just going to tie a knot. And then you're ready to start crocheting. And for mine, I'm going to crochet down the side first. So the first stitch that I'm going to be crocheting in is the first side double crochet. So along the edge you have these double crochet stitches on each row. So I'm going to be crocheting into the gap beneath those double crochet stitches. So I'm going to make a single crochet into the first side space below the double crochet. I'm going to go behind the loose yarn ends. Make sure you grab both of them. And then bring up a loop. Then you can make a single crochet. And then go ahead and chain two, because we're going to be making a round of double crochet all around the baby blanket. So now I made that first chain three will count as your first double crochet on the side of the blanket. I'm going to make one more double crochet into the same space. And then I'm going to make two double crochet into each space along the side. I'm going to make a couple more with you. So the next double crochet space underneath that double crochet in the space below it, I'm going to make another double crochet. And then I'm going to make one more double crochet into the same space. And I'm also going behind the loose yarn ends so I can bury them as I crochet. And then that will evenly space your double crochets along the side of the blanket. So go ahead, continue making two double crochet into each of the spaces below the double crochet along the side of your baby blanket. And then come back when you reach the end and I'll show you how to turn the corner and then work along the bottom of your baby blanket. So I finished working my two double crochet all along the side of the blanket, and I reached the last stitch on the row, and I placed two double crochet into that last gap beneath the last row's side double crochet. Now I'm going to place two more double crochet into the same stitch. I have a loose yarn end that I'm going to be burying two in that corner. So I'm going to place two more double crochet into the corner. That will help it to lay flat so it won't pull the corner up. You see how you're turning the corner. Then you're going to put 2 double crochet into that first stitch. So the first stitch here, you can see the double crochet stitch, so you're going to go right into the top of that stitch and make your double crochet. And then I'm going to make 1 more double crochet into the same stitch. And now I'm working along the bottom of the blanket where we first started the blanket. Make sure I get my loose yarn end. Bury that as I crochet. Then I'm going to go into the next stitch over and just make 1 double crochet. And so that's how you're going to work each of the corners, and you can see how it kind of makes a rounded corner and it doesn't pull, it lays flat. That's what you want. Now it's easy because you're just going to be making 1 double crochet into each stitch. So 1 double crochet, 1 to 1 all the way across the bottom of your blanket, and then come back. So now I've reached the end on the bottom of the blanket. I made 1 double crochet into the last stitch. I'm going to make 1 more double crochet into the same stitch before I turn the corner. And then I'm going to turn my work, so I'm working on the opposite side. And again, you have your double crochets along the side of your blanket, and you're going to be working in the gap below that double crochet. So in the first one on the corner, I'm going to make 4 double crochet into the same stitch. That way the corner will lie flat. And it's the same thing that I did on the previous corner. And then you'll know how to work all of the remaining corners and how to work the side of the blanket, and then the top of the blanket is worked the same way as the bottom of the blanket, 1 to 1. Let's see, lost count. So that's 3. Make 1 more for 4 in that side. Then I'm going to make a double crochet, 2 double crochet into the next gap, and then it's 2 double crochet into each of the gaps below the side double crochet. So go ahead, come back when you reach the beginning, and then I'll show you what to do next. So I just finished my last 2 stitches on that top row, and I came back to where I just started on the border, and I have 2, counting that first chain 3 and the next double crochet that we made when we first started the border. I only have 2 in there, so I'm going to make 2 more to make it 4, 2 more double crochet to finish up the border. Then I'm going to make a slip stitch into that top stitch of that first chain 3 that we made. And then you can finish off. Just yarn over and pull enough yarn through to bury into your work. I like to bring a lot of loose yarn end through with this style of yarn. You'll have a lot of your skein of yarn left over after finishing the border. Then you're just going to want to take your tapestry needle and put it onto that long end that you left for burying into your work, and just kind of weave the loose yarn end through the blanket. And then I like to go through several different directions with the yarn to make sure it's nice and buried. And then you can take and trim the loose yarn end. So go ahead, bury your loose yarn ends, and then come back.